Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they want to do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like the faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
If I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Hola everyone. Yes, 2 live shows in one night. Normally I would just record this and not do it live, but I find editing's easier on me when I do it live because I kind of have to get it right in one take. Whether I do or not's another story. Because this isn't one of my history live streams and one that will just be more general on my statement, I like to do an introduction because plenty of people watching this will not know who I am. Hello everyone, I am Karen Ann Harlos. I am the current National Secretary for the Libertarian Party, and Libertarianism and the Libertarian Party will inform nearly all of my commentary on this channel, and certainly my commentary today. Hopefully I have everything set up properly in Ecamm, and this should be somewhat short, but we shall see. That's usually my famous last word. So I have a couple subjects. Oh, let me see. I wonder why the audio is muffled, Stephen. Let me see if I can make that a little better. Let me know. But otherwise, this is about as good as I can do right now. It's coming through my regular mic. Let me try turning that up a little bit. 1 second here. Adjust the gain a little bit. Let me know if that is any better. Let me know, please. But anyways, we're gonna go forward, and that really is strange though that the audio is a bit muffled. But okay, thank you. I just had to turn the gain up a bit. Maybe the mic is a little bit too high up, or I don't have it on the right polar pattern. I will have to check that all out. And I could have been mumbling. I'm kind of tired and I haven't been feeling well. So the 2 subjects today. Oh, it's too loud now? Oh my God, I can't please everybody. Okay, but it's not peaking on my little audio meter here. Sorry. I wasn't projecting before, and then you got used to me just mumbling. So the 2 subjects, okay, thank you. Yeah, turn down the volume a little bit. The 2 subjects today, they're both tangentially related to the Tom Woods show. One of them's a little bit more directly related, though none of them are about, well, maybe one of them is a little bit about Tom Woods. So the first thing, some of you may have seen, Tom Woods did what I thought was a very good video on the whole COVID situation. The title was a bit inflammatory. He titled it The COVID Cult, which of course I'm sure triggered a few people and may have actually triggered the situation we're going to talk about. But the content was good, and he presented verifiable data. Then when this video came out, it was posted originally all over Facebook, but I saw it primarily on the Young Americans for Liberty site. And then when I shared it on my page, I noticed Facebook did its little fact check thing, you know, a little banner that comes up underneath it. Let me tell you something, Facebook, I don't want your fucking fact checks. I don't trust your fact checks, and I don't want them. That should be something that we should be able to turn off and on. I find it very intrusive, and I don't want it, particularly after I saw what happened here. Now, Tom had noticed that Facebook was fact checking his video, and he had thought it would be a generic fact check, you know, of, you know, the standard things on COVID. But no, they actually wrote one specifically for him, and it didn't address his point. For one thing, it refuted a point he never made, where it refuted a point where it claimed he was comparing statistics on mask usages across countries, and that isn't what he was doing. He was comparing infection rates with when mask mandates went into place in single countries at a time. And on his other issue as to whether lockdowns are effective or not, basically they claimed it was false because people disagree. Since when do people disagreeing make it false? It might make it disputed, but it doesn't make it false. That's the whole thing. This is a debate. He gave his point of view. It was really ridiculous. The fact check was ridiculous. It is brainwashing. That's all I could say. It is very biased brainwashing. The thing is, with a lot of public policy issues, opinions on data to some extent can't be fact checked. They're opinions. You can say whether the data was cited correctly or whether the data actually existed, but someone's opinion is their fucking opinion. But anyway, that irritated him. And that is going to go into something. This is all leading up to the YouTube portion. So what Tom did, and good for him, is, you know, he's very popular, whether you like him or not. He's a very popular libertarian host. And he had his private group on Facebook. Well, he yanked that entire group off of Facebook and put it on MeWe. Because why should he be putting eyeballs on Facebook and making them money when they act like that? Good for him. But he also put the video up on YouTube. And guess what YouTube did? They just yanked it. Said it violated their terms of service. How? It wasn't a conspiracy theory. If you don't think we are being brainwashed and told what we can see, what we can hear, and what we must think, then I've got a bridge to sell you, and you need to pull your head out of your ass. So, let's pull up this email that I had received because I'm on Tom Wood's mailing list. So here we go. And I didn't print out a copy in front of me, so I need to look over here on my screen, and we will go over this email. So he said, must love lockdowns, now part of YouTube's terms of service. I mean, it was such a ridiculous yank down. So he says, I have an update for you. YouTube has taken down the COVID cult. And that video, as he said, between Facebook and YouTube had 1.5 million views. And it's the first time that ever happened to him, because whether or not you agree with Tom Woods, he doesn't put out sensationalistic garbage. So it said it violated YouTube's terms of service, which now apparently include the proviso that you may not question lockdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if this video ends up getting pulled down, you know? So I guess lockdowns are brilliant, right? As he said, and have no side effects. And it gives a link as to where you can still watch it. I recommend you all go and watch that video, because your overlords, your gracious overlords who are telling you what to think and what your opinion must be, it must be the approved opinion, don't want you to watch it. So I am counting on our libertarian oppositional defiance disorder kicking in, and once somebody tells you you can't do something, you want to do it. So at tomwoods.com/the-covid-cult. I can't play it here because it's verboten from YouTube. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that happened. It's a short enough video. Whether or not you agree with Tom's conclusion, it will give you some food for thought, and that's all we can actually ask. So, yeah, there are other platforms he can post it at. I hope he did post it at BitChute, which is where I'm mirroring all of my content. So, all hail YouTube, who's telling us what we can think. That's my message. Anyway, that's it for that. I just thought that we already knew YouTube was getting ridiculous. But now, it really, I'm not one to buy into the whole crying outlandish censorship, but this was outlandish censorship. So now moving on to something else that happened on the Tom Woods show. This really doesn't have anything to do with Tom Woods. It just happened to be where I had seen this individual. Most of us will be familiar with Young Americans for Liberty. They are a, I'm putting in quotes, nonpartisan group that does a lot of petitioning and, political activism. And I put nonpartisan in quotes because while on paper they are, most people, the general opinion, whether this is official or not, is that they basically support Republicans. It isn't all the time, but it's a great deal of the time. And I'll have a little bit more to add on that. But so Cliff Mahoney, and I'm not saying they don't do good work, and boy, do they get students activated, okay? I'm just obviously not a fan of a Republican agenda. So Cliff Mahoney, I can't remember if he was called the chair or the president. I think it's the president of Young Americans, excuse me, for Liberty, was on Tom Woods' show. And he had some comments that got me a bit lathered up. And I decided I wanted to address them. So let's do the first clip, shall we? Hopefully I have this queued up properly.
We're never going to have any loyalty to a political party, right? The loyalty has to be the principle. It has to be the ideas. And it's so easy to fall down that trap of, oh, we're going to play on Team Blue or Team Red.
Okay. Notice, Team Blue or Team Red. They are a libertarian-oriented group, not Big L, but they believe in freedom ideas, libertarian ideas. But yet, he just goes Team Red, Team Blue. As if there are no other parties. Dude, there's something called the Libertarian Party. Now, later he does go on to mention the Libertarian Party, so I'm not acting like he ignores us altogether. But Team Red, Team Blue, what happened to Team Yellow? You would think a libertarian organization would at least have some interest in giving some exposure to Libertarian Party. Now, that could have just been a slip up on his point. I'm really not trying to to rag on him or run him down. I'm just saying, I noticed. Team red, team blue, there's other teams. There are other teams. And if you're ostensibly nonpartisan, there's also team green, isn't there? Why are you acting like there was only two parties in your teams there, dude? Let's continue.
So I'm happy to say, look, we have endorsed, of course, Republican candidates. We've won 178 times endorsing Liberty Republicans, the Thomas Massey types. But we've also endorsed independents, and we've also endorsed Libertarian Party members. And, look, I'm going to keep that threshold of saying they have to be principled and they have to be viable.
Okay, so what they tend to say quite a bit is some of the reasons why, and I'm going to have to back up a little bit here, they don't support Libertarian candidates more often is that they're not viable. Define viability. And now here's where I'm going to back up. The context of Mr. Mahoney's whole talk is their Win at the Door program, which is where they're focusing on local races and saturating areas in certain races to help those candidates win. In local races, libertarians are absolutely viable. They're viable when they get the support. But yet he's saying we'll only support them if they're viable. It's like a catch-22. I do not yet see the justification for why they do not support libertarian candidates more often, which is why I say nonpartisan in quotes. Because head-to-head, in any race where there's a Republican and a Libertarian, the Libertarian is far more principled. Without a doubt. There might be some rare exceptions that's not the case, but nearly most cases that will be. So I would like to know why they don't support more libertarian candidates. And don't tell me it's because they're not viable. If you supported them, they might be. It's catch-22. And there's been some Liberty Republicans that they've supported who've had some not so principled records. So generally, they support Republicans that they define as Liberty Republicans. But in any race where there's a Republican and a Libertarian and they choose the Republican, no excuse for that. No excuse for that, in my view. Of course, I am biased and I don't pretend to be otherwise. But these are kind of little bit of nitpicks. My main point, if you're going, this is a big yawner, what are you doing? Just riding this guy's tail? No, I actually have something really troublesome, at least to me, and it should be to any Libertarian Party member that comes next. So let's play the final clip, and I'll have a lot to say about that.
This was the first cycle ever where we won with one candidate who did not run under the Liberty Republican strategy. That's Marshall Burt in Wyoming. He took out a Democrat incumbent running one-on-one as a Libertarian Party, Libertarian on the ballot, and he won. We knocked a bunch of doors out there, and we endorsed him. Why? Because he was principled and he was viable. And so I'm kind of tired of people saying, oh, well, the party this, the party that, some of these Republicans, they endorse this candidate. Look, I don't care. What I care about is if they're principled and they believe in libertarian ideals and they can win.
Okay, I would like to know what made him think Marshall Burt was so different, and Marshall Burt did win. But let me tell you, which burned my biscuits here. The Libertarian Party has a program going on right now, very similar to Young American for Liberty's Win at the Door program. It's called the Frontier Project, where we've identified certain races, primarily in western states, Wyoming, Montana, Colorado, and we've put tremendous resources behind those candidates. You would think from hearing him that Young Americans for Liberty caused Marshall Burt to win all on their lonesome. What? The reason they probably thought Marshall Burt was viable is because he had an organization behind him, the Libertarian Party and the Frontier Project, specifically Apollo Pizzell of the Libertarian Party. They were the primary force that got Marshall Burt elected, not Young Americans for Liberty. Why did Mr. Mahoney not even give a slight mention to the fact that there was a whole Libertarian Party cohort out there coordinating efforts with them? They worked with the Frontier Project. Why did he act like they got Marshall Burt elected? They sure helped, but they didn't do it on their own. It was a Libertarian Party candidate supported by the Libertarian Party. Listen, you should be giving credit where credit is due, and Apollo Pizzell deserves a great deal of credit here, Mr. Mahoney. Why did you not even mention that? That is what burns my biscuits. That's called stolen valor, dude. You got on there and you took credit, sole credit, for something that other people worked their tails off for. That ain't right. That really got me going, because it was Apollo Pizzell's efforts that got Marshall Burt elected. You guys helped. You came in as support. But without Apollo, it wouldn't have happened. And you didn't even mention that. That ain't right. That is not right. You give credit where credit is due. And I'm giving you guys credit for helping knocking doors. But you wouldn't have been able to do it without Apollo and without the Frontier Project. Don't be a glory hog. Working for liberty is such a thankless task as it is. So I'm upset for Apollo. Apollo's probably not nearly as upset as I am about this. So next time you start hogging credit, maybe you'll start thinking about the other organizations and groups that are also doing good work. You didn't do it on your own. Now, also, and I've heard this secondhand, I didn't hear this from Marshall Burt, there was, I believe it was a Young Americans for Liberty event that Marshall Burt later attended, and what was he hounded to do by people? Not necessarily by Mr. Mahoney, but the general atmosphere is, dude, you could win so much easier. Why don't you join the Republican Party? Why don't you join the Republican Party? Really? That's real nonpartisan, where you got a Libertarian Party candidate that won, and you guys are trying to poach him over to the Republican Party. There are individual Republicans who I am sure are fine individuals. Thomas Massey, like you mentioned. But there are representing an absolutely corrupt, anti-liberty, statist organization. Sorry, but that's the way it is. And when you help get Liberty Republicans elected, you're just empowering the Republican Party that goes and bends over other parties from even getting on the ballot. They are the worst at ballot censorship. The crap they pull with the Libertarian Party is absolutely ridiculous, where they sue to keep us off the ballot. And I'd love to hear you talking more about that, instead of kissing Republican ass. These opinions are my own. They're not the opinion of the Libertarian Party. They're my opinions, and I don't apologize for them. When you atomistically just go, well, this candidate is good, you forget that you are propping up a machine that is inherently anti-liberty. The Libertarian Party will become more viable when libertarian people and people who believe in libertarian ideas actually get behind them, instead of running after the statist Republicans who screw Libertarian Party candidates off the ballot every chance that they get and force us to spend untold amounts of money that could go towards actually getting our candidates elected if we didn't have to fight the Republican ballot censorship at every turn. Yeah, I'm pissed. All right. That's really all I had for this short show. Hey, Julian, I didn't see you earlier. I'm talking to the chat. Sorry. This is a community activity. So, yep, that's it. coming up in the next few days, well, let me run my little, you guys gotta tolerate me where I do my begging, okay? Please let me beg, but I do give you other information while I'm begging. So, I've got my little patron thing here. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really, really helps me with the YouTube algorithm, which then spreads libertarian messaging to more people. Okay? Please, please, please. If you're not subscribed, if you haven't liked, please. Okay. Also, you can financially support me. The more support I get, the more shows I will be able to do. You can do it for as little as $1 a month. Though most people go in at the $5 rate. I get it if you can't. I'm struggling to pay my mortgage, so I get it. But if you can, it's the libertarian thing to do to voluntarily support things that you get effort from. So on the screen there, you can see where my Patreon account is and my Subscribe Star account is. So coming up on this show, in probably the next week, I'm going to be doing more on what's going on with the People's Party, which I'm fascinated watching. I also have queued up a response I'm going to be doing to another YouTuber called the Actual Justice Warrior, who just has the most shitty take on Breonna Taylor that you can imagine. That's taking a lot of research, so that's going to be taking a while. And also some more fun things on Classically Abby, who is Ben Shapiro's sister, who has a show that is just absolutely fringe. And I have a few more responses to the YouTuber named Cirrus, who is just, or Cirrus, I think is the better way to pronounce it. He, really is hot and heavy on universal health care. So I am going to have a show where he did a show called "This is the Worst Argument for Universal Health Care," and I could tell I got under his skin about the negative rights because he just really got a bit angry on that whole topic. And again, as you can see on the screen here, I am doing some patron-only content where we're going through All Rise, which is a book by Judge Jim Gray. And I want to show you another book I got in. I just got this in the other day. It's called The Burglary by Betty Metzger. It's talking about when the FBI office, I guess, was burglared and all kinds of files were stolen. And that should be very interesting. This will be coming up at some point in the future. So thank you guys for keeping me company on this short little show. And see, when I do it live, I can do it in one take and it goes right up rather than waiting a week for me to edit. So have a good night, y'all. And I look forward to seeing you over the next couple days. Ciao.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.